Topping our lineup here on the Now, high drug prices are forcing some people to skip their medication, but there's a safer way to cut costs, and we're looking at why drug prices may not be coming down as quickly as we'd all like and what you can do about it. And there's a new tool trying to make it easier to communicate with someone who has dementia. How one app is using images from the past to spark a new conversation. And boy, the CBD industry, it is just booming across the country right now. But the big question with all of it, is it just a fad or just the beginning?
Thank you, Chris. This is the Now ND on RTV6. Making opioids less available is not necessarily a good thing, especially for chronic pain patients. Those patients feel they are being unfairly punished because of the attention addicts have received that has nothing to do with them. Working for you, RTV6's Derek Thomas finds if there's a middle ground between caring for pain patients and cracking down on drug abuse.
68-year-old Deb Smith takes oxycodone twice a day to combat osteoporosis, bone spurs, and arthritis.
After I started taking it under supervision with my doctor, I can enjoy life again. I can work, I can get out of bed. I can do things, I can function.
Smith is okay for now, but consider Melissa Lerner. Her doctor suddenly stopped her pain medication, even though she has spinal stenosis, scoliosis, herniated disc, and recent knee surgery.
I am homebound. I had to quit working. For the first time in my life, I've applied for disability. I don't want to be disabled. I wasn't disabled when I was on my medication. But most days I'm just home, in bed, or on the couch.
There weren't just patients at this rally. There were doctors. One doctor carried a sign that says, "Doctors shouldn't be afraid of the government."
There has been pressure, not just from the authorities like the CDC and the DEA, but also pressure from insurance companies cutting patients off and saying that they will only feel as much as 90 milliequivalents of morphine or morphine equivalent doses, so that patients then, if they were on more than that before, are suffering because now their pain is not controlled.
We deserve to have a quality of life.
That scenario is not acceptable for Jonna Majors, who organized this rally.
How do you take that away from somebody who's trying to have a productive life? And that pain medication gives it to them. And now they're going, nope, sorry, your life isn't worth anything. You can't be productive. And we're in America. Come on.
The group wants to pursue legislation at the state level and in Congress. Meanwhile, this sign captures their message. Put a leash on the DEA and stop targeting our innocent doctors. Derek Thomas, RTV6.
And most of central Indiana, nice and dry for us this evening. You can even see some blue sky breaking out over downtown. Those clouds, cumulus clouds, not building into much in the way of wet weather, even though we had our share today in parts of central Indiana. Right now, temperatures running in the mid to upper 70s, 75 in downtown and Greenwood, 77 there in the Kokomo area. And here's a look at the rainfall for the day. You can see especially over the western third of the state picked up over an inch of rain in a few spots. And we had another one of those downpours that moved from around Indianapolis and especially on the south and east sides of town around the middle of the day today. Storm Team 6 radar, though, things are fairly quiet for us at this point. You can see a few showers sneaking in around Brookville, also into Liberty. That's going to be about the extent of our activity for any wet weather this evening. So if you are going to be heading out, I think you can leave the umbrella at home. You're going to notice a little more mugginess in the air, though, with those temperatures still in the lower 70s right on through 10 o'clock with the sun setting almost at an even 9 o'clock tonight. Chris?
Virginia's governor has been facing controversy for months over a picture of a man in blackface in the governor's 1984 yearbook. Today, the results are back from an independent investigation into the yearbook, and Corey Rangel has what they found.
It has been 35 years since this photo appeared on Virginia Governor Ralph Northam's medical school yearbook page, and we still don't know if he's in it. The 1984 yearbook photo shows a person in blackface and another in a KKK robe. Eastern Virginia Medical School hired a law firm to conduct an investigation after the photo made national news.
We could not conclusively determine the identity of either individual depicted in that photograph.
That is what investigators came up with after spending 3 months on the investigation, which included interviewing more than 50 people.
No individual that we interviewed has told us from personal knowledge that the governor is in that photograph. and no individual with knowledge has come forward to us to report that the governor is in the photograph.
Investigators say they interviewed Governor Northam twice, who at first apologized for appearing in the photo in both a written statement and in this video from February.
I'm deeply sorry. I cannot change the decisions I made.
But a day later, he denied being in the yearbook photo.
This was not my picture. I was not in that costume, either as black-faced or as KKK, and it's not me.
Today, Northam issued a statement saying he's cooperated with the investigation and again insisted he is not in the racist and offensive photo, despite calls for him to resign, including from people in his own party. The Democratic governor has managed to keep his job. I'm Corey Rangel reporting.
All right, Corey, thank you. And as more states tighten abortion restrictions, more women are ordering abortion pills online. The Guardian's reporting that between October 2018 and March of this year, 21,000 women requested abortion medication through a charity called Aid Access. Between a third and half of them were sent the medication. Aid Access says the majority of those women live in states with restrictive abortion policies. All right, let's get back to our lineup here. And high drug prices are forcing some people to skip their medication. We're looking at why prices may not be coming down as quickly and what you can do about it.
Your replacement window hero.
Welcome back to the Now Indy on RTV6. I'm Amanda Starantino. A memorial for Indiana State Police paid respects to those who've died in the line of duty. Today, the ISP Pendleton Post hosted the annual ceremony. Now, troopers were at attention as the names of officers were during the solemn event. Now, survivors of several officers attended the memorial and placed a rose under the picture of their loved one.
We can't ever lose sight of those that came before us. And these days, and we have 15 of these memorial services around the state every single year, are a testament that we'll never, ever lose sight or not remember those that died.
The superintendent is attending as many of the statewide events as possible.
Despite having some sort of health insurance coverage, nearly a quarter of older people are trying to find more ways to reduce their prescription drug costs. A CDC study found nearly 18% of adults 65 and older have asked their doctor to substitute a cheaper medication instead. And even more alarming, nearly 5% didn't take their meds as prescribed in order to save money. Now that could mean skipping doses, taking a smaller dose, or delaying getting the prescription filled. Annie Taylor showing us why some of these drug prices are just so slow to come down.
Our partners at PolitiFact took a look at what people are paying for prescription drugs and who's making money off them. They found that although Americans spend about $460 billion a year on prescription drugs, out-of-pocket costs are actually falling. Now, in 2013, the average out-of-pocket cost for a filled prescription was just over $10. In 2017, it was less than $9. But PolitiFact says there are a couple reasons for this. Use of generics is becoming more widespread, and more rebates are out there. And the Affordable Care Act has helped protect some of the costs. Now, while the average out-of-pocket is less than $9, there are many drugs, some of which can mean life or death to a patient, that cost much more. PolitiFact found that the difficulty in lowering prices seems to be partly because there are so many players. Now, according to the Pew Charitable Trust, the drug makers still come out on top when it comes to making money off of prescription drugs. They get about 60% share. Pharmacies follow with 22.5%, and benefit managers, health plans, and wholesalers are all getting a much smaller piece of the pie. And the pharmaceutical industry presence in Washington, D.C. is strong. PolitiFact found that it spent $281 million on lobbying just last year. That's more than any other group.
All right, Andy, thank you. Getting back to our lineup, the CBD industry is just booming across the country right now. But the big question we're looking into, is this just a fad or is it just the beginning? You're watching The Now. Let's start start the Now newsfeed with more than 100 public health and anti-tobacco groups calling on major social media companies to stop allowing tobacco ads on their platforms. Groups are pointing to young social media influencers pushing Philip Morris's products. Philip Morris did recently suspend its social media marketing campaign. Democratic presidential hopeful Kirsten Gillibrand is proposing a family bill of rights. She wants to make adoptions, high-tech fertility treatments, and maternal care more accessible. She says it would be paid for by a 0.1% tax on things like stock purchases. Well, we're getting closer to self-driving delivery vans, but apparently also getting closer to robot delivery people. This is Digit. Ford partnered with the company that makes this robot. It can carry up to 40 pounds. The company's actually hoping for a 2021 launch. Well, investigators may have a harder time cracking cold cases with the help of GED Match. It's a third-party genealogy site, and it has helped law enforcement by giving DNA information. But users will need to opt into the database now, and they also need to manually upload their own DNA information. Other companies like Ancestry and 23andMe, they do not allow police to search DNA samples. In an emergency, it can take first responders 8 to 10 minutes to get there. And you think in that same amount of time, someone could bleed out. But what if you knew what to do? You could be an immediate responder and you could save lives. This month is the first Stop the Bleed Month. It's a worldwide program that gets regular people trained to apply life-saving first aid in the case of a serious wound. Trainees learn 3 steps to respond to when someone is bleeding out, which is apply pressure, pack the wound, and use a tourniquet. Well, the idea for Stop the Bleed, it grew out of the Sandy Hook shooting back in 2012. And not only are those skills important in a case like a mass shooting, but also when you think of incidents like a car crash or even a cooking accident at home. The program's manager says if you aren't sure about being trained, think of who you could save.
You may not ever help a stranger on the street. You may not be able to just run upon a scene of an accident and do stop the bleed measures, but could you do it to your own family, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your wife, your partner? That's who you may have to help one day. And if you have these skill set, you will be able to help them.
Now, free classes are available all across the country all year long, and it's not just going on this month. What you want to do is go to bleedingcontrol.org and make sure you click on Find a Class.
Thanks, Chris. Indy's baseball home is getting a little makeover. The Indianapolis Indians announced a new expansion of VIP space on the upper level of Victory Field. The new space will have more than 4,500 square feet, big screen TVs, and a mix of seating options. Funding for the $8.3 million project will be split between the Indianapolis Capital Improvement Board and the Indians. The team is paying for $6.3 million of the project.
And our weather not exactly getting us the VIP treatment here, as we've had quite a bit of rain to battle against, and the farmers having a real tough time as they're still running way behind from last year and getting those crops in the ground. And it seems like we just keep getting these rounds of rain. Not a whole lot of dry time, but we are drying things out a little bit this afternoon. Some sunshine for you in Kokomo at 77, 76 in Bloomington, and 75 in downtown. We've got that wind out of the south around 10 to 15 miles per hour, and that's bringing in more of that humid air, something we haven't had to really deal with for a while. And once that dew point starts getting in the mid-60s range, it starts getting a little bit sticky out there. That's what we've got this evening and what we're going to have really through the upcoming weekend. Not only does it make it feel a little more uncomfortable, but it keeps those overnight lows warmer as well. Tonight, only down into the 60s to around 70 degrees for you in Muncie, 68 in Bloomington. And as we look at your forecast throughout the day tomorrow, yeah, those rain chances are back in there with us. We'll have some dry time in the mix as well as temperatures make their way back to around 80 degrees. And there's that marginal or isolated severe weather threat across much of the southern 2/3 of central Indiana throughout the day on Thursday. So that means we could have an isolated storm with some gusty winds, possibly some hail, and even at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, we'll have this line of thunderstorms coming through around Crawfordsville into Lafayette, Delphi, Kokomo, and Peru. Some of those could be on the strong side, but as we go into the afternoon, that's when we'll have a little better chance of some of those stronger thunderstorms popping up here. You can see with the heat of the day right along I-70 here about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then those will start to fade away as we go into the evening. On Friday, we should be a little lower on the rain chance. Still not completely out of the question that we have an isolated shower with temperatures making their way into the middle 80s. The next 4 days of your forecast takes us right through the weekend, and we've got those shower and thunderstorm chances in for race day and a high of 80. Chris?
This week, a new study found CBD is effective in treating heroin addiction. It's the latest CBD news and what seems like just a constant stream of it. The industry is expanding at an incredible rate, and our Chris Welch spent time with a company investing big in CBD, and he looks at why this industry could be brewing up big dollars for years to come.
We started with the intention of being a specialty coffee roaster, and we are, but shortly thereafter we introduced something special into our line of coffees.
The not-so-secret ingredient is cannabidiol, commonly known as CBD.
Many people get jittery when they drink coffee, and CBD helps to balance that out.
Andrew Amott is co-founder of Strava Craft Coffee, where 95% of their product line is now CBD infused. CBD is a component of hemp. It's part of the same family of plants as marijuana, but ingesting CBD won't get you high, and those who use it swear by its medicinal properties.
Small amounts and medium amounts of CBD help the body to stay calm, not get jittery, stay focused and productive, and start to help with the aches and pains that some of us do feel.
This year, they've upgraded to a coffee roaster 5 times bigger because people are buying more than ever.
Is this a fad? Is this just, kind of a flash in the pan? But it's really just the beginning because CBD can fit into so many different angles and so many different industries.
Bethany Gomez is a market analyst with a company that tracks CBD sales. She says that while, yes, we've already seen CBD used in everything from oils to beauty products to beer, even pet treats, we're about to see even more, thanks to the passage of the 2018 Farm Bill, which legalized hemp on a federal level.
We have not seen the tip of the iceberg. I mean, up until through the end of 2018, it was only being sold through these small little smoke shops and independent natural food stores and tiny little vitamin shops.
For context, CBD was a $620 million industry in 2018. But now that large corporations can get in on CBD, the industry could be worth $22 billion by 2022.
Right now, people think of it as a miracle cure-all that will fix everything. I've seen things like, I have 99 problems and CBD cured about 86 of them. I mean, that may not be quite true, but I think there's enough of a push and enough kind of anecdotal evidence to support that that it works for a lot of people for a lot of things.
There is so much more demand for CBD coffee or CBD anything these days.
There is. There's a national and international conversation happening about CBD.
Brewing up a craze that just might be here to stay. Reporting in Denver, I'm Chris Welch.
All right, Chris, thank you. Let's get to the news feed with just a terrible story out of an Illinois zoo where a flamingo had to be put down after an elementary school student threw a rock in its exhibit this week. The rock broke the flamingo's leg. The zoo said it's now working with the boy's family to make sure this is a learning experience. Unreal video here of a chase in LA. Take a look at this. A woman trying to outrun police. That is a stolen RV. And to make matters even scarier, a dog looking out the shattered windshield of that RV. The dog actually bailed at one point. Does believe that the dog is okay. There was another dog on board who wasn't hurt. Now, the woman did crash. She was arrested. Another driver was also hurt. Washington, now the first state where it's legal for a body to be composted instead of buried or cremated. Supporters say it's a more eco-friendly way for a body to become soil. The law is going to go into effect a year from now. Both Uber and Lyft continue to make changes to try and make rides safer. Lyft just added a panic button on its app that allows riders to call 911. It also shows a bigger picture of the driver's license plate. That's to help stop people from getting into the wrong car. Uber recently also added 911 assistance and other safety upgrades. You will recall a college student was murdered this year when she got into a car that she thought was an Uber. And you do need to consider the safety of the car itself when using rideshare services. Consumer Reports recently checked vehicle records in New York and Seattle for Uber and Lyft, and they found 1 in 6 have an open safety recall. Some were as serious as the Takata airbags. Now, Uber and Lyft told Consumer Reports that they have taken steps to address unfixed recalls. Consumer Reports is calling on the government to ban rideshare vehicles with any safety recall from picking up passengers. All right, finally in our lineup today, there's a new tool trying to make it easier to communicate with those who have dementia. How this app is using images from the past to spark a new conversation.